Right. I mean, as you can see, that strings are can get tricky as well, just as dates can. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have to use that two lowercase or two upper if you're dealing with, say, a discount code, right? A discount code on a checkout for a website. People can enter it in a lowercase way. They could enter it in uppercase. Maybe they're entering it really crazy and a portion of it's uppercase and the rest of it's lowercase, or it's mixed, right? You need a way to bring everything down to like the base level and then compare that way. So just some more weirdness, but thankfully there's methods and string methods. Like I said, like the Net Ninja said, there's a lot of them. We're only going to look at maybe 1/5 of them. Some popular ones, I guess. So toString. This is a really, really nice one. That's out of the box. That's pretty nice. Convert a non-value to a string in a number of ways. So the toString doesn't work on undefined or null, obviously, right? Those weird values. But if you convert a Boolean to a string, but you can't convert it back. So that's a little bit weird, right? But yeah, it has to do with that whole ternary stuff, the whole truthy falsy thing. Right. So I mean, you could basically walk up to it and say, all right, well, true dot toString, right? Two dot. Does that work? Yes, it does. True. What if I said 100 dot toString? Now it's not putting the quotes around it for me. Oh, it doesn't like that, right? Invalid expected token. So you can't do that to a number. So you might have to actually. So that's weird, right? You might have to do the wrap it as a new string, right? In that fashion to make it a string like that. As you see now, it's actually a string with a value. So I've converted a number in that way. Yes, so there's some weirdness there. So toString, again, looking at the dev docs, as always, we should be looking at these dev docs where possible. Right, toString returns a string representation of the specific object. So we can actually run this here. We're converting a string, and we're actually wrapping it toString. So you can actually convert a number of types. That's the syntax there, toString. Again, look at all these. Look at the methods on the side. We already looked at the properties, string length, and look at all the ones that are deprecated. Look at all the thumbs down. There's a lot of old ones there, and you can see already there's a lot of ones that are floating around. There's a lot in there, right? There's match all, repeat, replace you use a lot, slice you'll use a lot, split, yeah, you can use some of that. Two lowercase, uppercase, trim, you'll have to trim all the white space quite a bit. Value of, raw string, so there's a lot. And actually, if you see a garbage can here, that is saying that is actually obsolete, no longer works. So they do actually take out some of this, and this was toSource. I have no idea what that is, but they're actually saying that has been trashed. So don't use it, it's trashed. Cool thing about this, on the bottom, browser compatibility, you can see what browsers will actually allow this in the versioning. Good to look that up sometimes. toString's been around for a while. toString is pretty seasoned, so right. So toString is what it is, converts it to a string. Can't do it on undefined and null. Uppercase, we just look at that. You will use this quite a bit. Converts the entire string to uppercase. And then we have the reverse method, which is to lowercase. So we can actually, if we have a sentence here, the quick brown fox, if we want to put it all in uppercase, it quickly just capitalize everything for us, quick and easy. Now, if you wanted to write that would be a nice, I don't know, you would have to figure that one out. You'd probably have to use something called looping that would have to go through each character and uppercase it manually, which you could spend hours on that one. Just know that you have a nice function called to uppercase and to lowercase. Index of, again, this one will help us find where a certain string will exist inside of the string, right? So it'll actually let us know that The occurrence here, index of first, right here, this reference here would actually say that this would be at position 40 right here, right? If it's found. So the index method returns the index within calling the string object. Its first occurrence, the first occurrence in the starting index. If it's not found, the -1 will be returned. As we saw in that previous video, they checked for -1, meaning it's not found in the string. So that's that one. Index of, you may quickly want to look at that in your web docs. Please, as always, do that if there is any questions on some of this usage. So we have a couple right there, right? So this will quickly output the first occurrence. Now, if you look at this and you're not sure what this is, again, ES6 syntax, this is called a template literal. It's a cleaner way of doing things with outputting, but we're not, we haven't learned that yet, so don't worry about that too much. Just know that that's coming. Again, so undefined, you cannot do index of undefined will return 0, and I'm sure null as well. Null as well. So index of, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to go through some of them. Just to give you the idea that there's a lot of methods on here. Substring is really useful, right? Substring does what it says it does between the start and an index. You can cut down, you know, the substring. Remember that each character has a position, so you can substring things out. Going back to that example there, I have, what did I have back here? So even if I had whatever, some random number that's a string, we already converted that, and we actually named it. I'll call it numstring, whatever, that's a horrible name. And I want to console out, I don't know, I'm just going to console out a piece of it. Numstring, I don't know, let's say 5 to 10. Let's see if that works. Oh, it doesn't like that. Oh, what am I doing? That's substring. Substring. Let's do that. Substring is not a number. Let's see what it actually is. Substring is all lowercase. See, even using this in this day, you need to make sure you spell it right. Substring, lowercase. Now we got it. Okay, so, but if you notice, if you're guessing like this, you could very easily go outside of this. I'm not sure how big the string is. Console log, using that property, numstring.length will give us, it's 14 lengths. But if I didn't know that, I easily could say, okay, well, I'm going to go to 20. It's going to throw an exception because, oh, it should. Okay, let's see. It didn't. Will it throw an exception? 2000. Oh, it didn't. So it didn't throw an exception on that. It basically allowed me to do that, which is really strange. I thought that would actually give me an error, but it has some error handling built in, which is pretty cool. Okay. All right, so it's basically going to go from this position all the way, to infinity. That's cool. I would expect a very hard error there, but that's cool. It's built in to not throw an exception. Really, really nice, actually. Okay, so I don't have to error check for that one. It's going to actually, it's going to respect the fact that you know where the index starts. You know where the index ends. And if the index is outside of the length, well, it's just gonna substring it anyways. Very nice. Okay. I wish lists and arrays were like this, but they're not. You actually have to check the length of it quite a bit. So we established substring, exciting stuff. Concatenation, again, we already discussed. We could do the plus equals in that other example, but we can also use a method. So concat method concatenates the string arguments to the calling string and returns a new string. Remember, it's immutable, but it's strongly recommended that you use those plus equals instead of this method. It's shorter form, and I guess it's eliminating syntax. It's probably going to be deprecated soon, but just know that it's there. So the plus equals is perfectly fine in this place of this. Replace all. So you will definitely need this a lot. Sometimes you need to replace, maybe there's a credit card information in some string and you need to strip it out. I don't know. There's something specific in there, like some code you want to mask. Maybe you want to if there's a code in there, you might want to, what do they call it again? It's just a way to hide it, mask it, masking. Maybe you want to mask, the 3 digits of your SIN number. You write some script that if a user enters a SIN number, social insurance number, you mask out, the last 4 digits so nobody else can get that very important piece of information. So you would use something like a replace all. We'll just go through this and replace every occurrence of dog with monkey. My example would replace every SIN card 4 digits with asterisks or something like that. Now there is a concept of regex. We haven't really talked about that one. That's a way of creating patterns, but yeah, that's more maybe intermediate, to be honest. But just know that it's there. There's a way of providing patterns so to make it a little bit smarter. Yeah, this is it's a little bit of a regex pattern here. There's more information on regex, to be honest. Down here, it'll talk about a regex pattern and how you can create these patterns. We could do a whole session on like regex, to be honest. It gets quite in depth. It's a way of matching, searching and matching against strings. Yes, so we got about 3 more slides and then a video, then we'll let you do the lab, so bear with me through this exciting string methods. But to be honest, we need to go through this so you know the language, right? Once you know these things, you can really fly. And the whole point to writing code is being able to speak that language so that you're not caught up on small things. You can just kind of build stuff out. Slice. So these are where it gets a little tricky now. You might want to extract sections of a string without modifying the original string. So you have the index and the end index. So here we want to slice out, the last, the starting index would be here. Sorry, let me get my pointer here. So suppose each one of these has a numeric placement, 0, 1, and then we start getting into 30, 31. So we're saying at the 31st position, which is here, I want to slice out everything to the end of the string. So therefore, it's extracting out this part here. It's slicing out that portion of the string. Same thing here. I want to take a slice, a section, extract a slice of pizza or a string between position 4 and 19. So I'm going to take out this piece here. Maybe that could be a credit card information that we want to just kind of extract from the outgoing string. And that'd be perfectly fine there. So we probably have a question there. What's the difference between substring and slice? Good question. That's a good one here. Right, so this one says, let's read it. Slice method extracts a section of the string and returns it as a new string without modifying the original string. I think that might be the difference here. Let's see, does substring modify that? Substring returns the part of the string between start and end. So I'm thinking that substring modifies that initial string, whereas slice creates a brand new string without modifying that original string. So it's a way of kind of keeping it immutable and not modifying that original piece. Probably most preferred is slice, to be honest. Splitting. Now again, these are all tricky, right? I mean, even myself, it's no way you can memorize all this stuff. You need to go back to the docs. I don't memorize the stuff. I know how to use it, but you know what? Even to this day, I'll be like, okay, well, hey, what's the difference between substring and slice? Am I using it in the right way? Let me look at the docs to refresh myself, right? And you'll run into it all the time. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Because nobody expects, you go into an interview and they ask you, hey, what is the signature of the split method? It's like, well, how would I know, right? I mean, I use docs. I don't memorize it, right? Or I use the IntelliSense and the IDE. I know how to use it though, but sometimes you need to refresh yourself. So the split, you'll need this a lot think about a CSV file. You know, you have a CSV file from Excel that might be comma separated, and you need to, you know, each line of that CSV file, you might need to, you know, split everything so that every property maps back to something, right? So if you're writing an importer exporter tool, most likely you're splitting everything and you're mapping those columns back to properties, and then you're doing something with it, right? Whether it be logging or whatnot, putting in a database. So you will need split quite a bit. This is probably one of the best methods. So basically it takes an word list, puts it into an array, returns array. We haven't done with arrays. They're storage units, like a list. Division is done by a pattern. So the pattern could be more advanced, but we could just have a simple separator where, you know, you could have a comma or something like that, or whatever it could be. It could be a very strange separator. You're not really sure what that separator might look like. It could be it's very, you know, when you're dealing with data, you don't know what it could look like. So here, very simply in this code piece here, they're separating by that empty string. So they're basically going to split this into an array of words by these empty spaces here. And it's going to create a container of all the words. And then you can output the third word, which would be fox. Again, we haven't really talked about arrays yet, but a high level is that it's like a container with indexes. A means of storage, right? We don't have a database yet. Most likely, even in our project for our assignment for this full stack 2, we're going to be using arrays with that music interface that we built, because thus far we don't have a database or server. We're going to have we need some storage container, you know, at this point in time to track changes. But anyhow, you might want to split this string in that way. If this was comma separated, right? If you had a bunch of commas separated in here, then you would have to actually, you know, just imagine all the words were separated by that. You would split by that, and it would break down every single occurrence that would happen with that comma in. It would ignore the fact that there's more spaces. It will just actually take whatever is in between, right? So, and then it would actually split it out that way. So split is a good one. So we got 2 slides left, and then we're good. But it's confusing, and I have a video for it because it can get confusing. So, right. So just continuing on that, if we use the period as a separator, the strings. So if we had hello dot I am string dot, you can separate me, and we go to split on that dot, then we will get this kind of representation here, right? This angle bracket represents a container, and inside of each is an element, right, in each position here, right? So go ahead, Shivam, thank you.
So, okay, thank you, Mike. So the split function, this basically returns an array.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
And
yes, go ahead.
And in situations where we need to actually change the string into an array, this is like the way to do so, or do we use another way?
Yeah, we're not there yet, but you know what? I think on this object here, if you were to look, there should be a converter in here. It should be here. Oh, I thought there was a. That's a good way. I could have swore there was a to array in there, a method, but you could use the split for sure if you need to break it up. But I'm surprised.
Thank you.
I'm surprised there's not a to array. I think you might have to cast.
It might be in the array object.
Yeah, you know, when we get into arrays, there are going to be different ways you can build that list, right? But ideally, you want to just use split. You don't want to have to like construct it, but you might have to. You might have to loop through all of the elements and then push them into an array, and then it gets weird. Again, it gets complex, right? Ideally, you just want to use something like split and just say, hey, I'm just going to convert it real fast. Ideally, right? In one line of code. And on that note, on that question, you know, we'll look at what the difference between split and splice, because they are similar. And let's look at it. Hold on for a second.
Have you thought about learning data science? You
No,
know,
no, I have not thought about learning data science. Let me just quickly